So we're back for part 4. We're getting better at YouTube videos now. So a few people have been, or somebody asked me about will it run an air conditioner. Sorry, our buddy's flying his airplane. But so let's find out. We'll see if it runs an air conditioner, and then I'm going to give you an overall view of my thoughts and everything, and how I feel about it so far. But Alright, so once again, I'm just going to turn off the main load, turn everything on. I didn't mess with any of my other breakers. So right now the hot water heater is on, and the furnace, and those are our two big draws. We're not running the dryer, dishwasher, or anything else. And then of course all our lights and everything else and TV, all that's running normally. So let's see if we can run the AC. So in order to get the AC to kick on, it's just not hot enough here. Like, I do have central air, it does work. I did test it before I put it on the generator, but it's just not hot enough today to get it to kick on. So I have to put my hand over the thermostat sensor to heat it up enough to get the AC to kick on. So the generator just revved up, the compressor's on. We'll go outside. I mean, you can look at the fan spinning on the condenser if you want, but I mean, it works. I'm afraid if I take my hand off here too long, it'll just turn off the AC before we make it out there. But all right, let's go run out there and look at it real quick. All right, so I'm 6'3" so we have a pretty small air conditioning system. It's not, we don't really need anything large. It is working, it's functioning, it's circulating air through the house. It's also powering the fan for this, everything else. So yeah, it'll run a whole house air conditioning system. At least this small one it will. But yeah. Alright, so my thoughts on it so far. I haven't completely ran through a tank, but the fuel level is about where I expected to be. When I looked at Harbor Freight's website and they decided to say something like 16 hours at 25% load, which they've never listed anything at 25% load. They always say 50, and I was like, okay, so probably 12 hours. Then my estimate was about right. Like, under heavy load, we're using the house just like it's an everyday thing and the power's not out. Yeah, I can see about 12 hours out of this generator for average household usage, which isn't bad, but it's not. It's the same gas I was getting out of the 9,000 watt non-inverter generator. As far as handling loads go, well, I would say it's less impressive than the non-inverter generator. The non-inverter 9,500 watt or whatnot that Harbor Freight sells, the one we had before this, it never once did we have a breaker trip. We'd never killed the generator, and I didn't have any issues handling all the loads we currently do. This one does. If you are if you're like, our hot water heater kicked on while the furnace was also on, and we flipped on either the stove or the dryer, killed it. The first time we killed it, the generator bogged down. None of our fuses tripped, and I have the breaker, the 30 amp breaker on the fuse box for it. I have the 30 amp that's on the generator itself. The 30 amp breaker did not switch off. The generator simply bogged down, which concerned me a little bit. Now, the next 2 times I killed it, it was under same circumstances. I way overloaded it. I was being very aggressive with this thing. Now, the next 2 times, the breaker on the generator itself did trip, and the generator continued to run. It didn't completely kill the generator down, so the breaker did what it was supposed to do and protected the generator. The first time it didn't do that, which was a little concerning, but I haven't had any issues after it. Is it quieter? About 10% quieter. It's enough to where the wife is much happier with the noise level, which was the primary goal. For most people, is it going to be worth it? No. No, flat no. It like just spend $700, get the 9,000, get the wheel kit, get the battery for it. It'll be a lot easier to work on. Parts are probably going to be more available as parts for Harbor Freight products are. But it'll be easier to work with the 9,000. It will be a little louder, but this one isn't so quiet that it's worth $1,000 price difference. Flat out. I'm not going to get rid of it. There's no reason for it. The wife's happy with it, and that was my main concern. But for the majority of people out there, I think you'll be happier with the non-inverter generator, the mass majority, or spending the money and getting a Champion, or maybe not a Honda, because those are so expensive. But there are other options out there that are going to be better. I'm not dogging on it. It's a great generator. It does what it's supposed to do. It generates power. I would say it doesn't quite take as much. Boy, sorry about that. My dogs were barking. I like it. It looks great. It feels great. It's really heavy. It handles the loads it's supposed to. I could probably get better fuel. I'm being very aggressive with it in its first tank. Oh, there it goes. So you could just hear the generator kind of like it wound up a little bit. The refrigerator came on. And now it's winding back down to its normal eco mode. It likely will be, under moderate use, a lot more fuel efficiency. Instead of 12, I'll probably get 14. Okay, 14 hours off of a single tank of fuel. 16, I seriously doubt it. Just using it because when my power goes out, I want to keep doing everything as if the power was still on. I don't want to make sacrifices and just run the lights and a coffee machine. It's not why I spend, over $1,000 for a generator. Like you're spending I don't know. That's just me. I want it to be able to do just about everything. This is almost there. It is almost to the point, but there's only so much you can do on 30 amps. And 50 amp generators and the wiring and paying for everything to wire a house, 30 amps the most practical thing you can do. And this is at the absolute limit of what a 30 amp setup can handle. So the main reason for getting an inverter generator is it's more fuel efficient and it provides, better, truer power. I ran all of our computers, all of our TV, Xboxes, everything off of the non-inverter generator, had no issues under load. I measured the waves on it. They looked really good, actually, for a non-inverter generator. They are comparable to about what this one's putting out. Once you put an initial load on a non-inverter generator, your wave's going to stable out. The same thing with this one for the inverter generator. I don't know. It's not worth it for most people to spend $1,000 more to get the same, and slightly, in my opinion, slightly less performance, just for 10 decibels. Maybe it's not 10 decibels. Maybe someone's going to come out with this decibel meter and say, here, this is just me using my ears. It sounds about the same, a little quieter than the other generator, a little less noticeable. It is a little bit more comfortable of a sound. But something just turned on, probably the water heater. But, so now it's running the fridge and the water heater, but either that or the furnace. But yeah, that's just my thoughts on it. It's cool. I already had a generator that I could give Harbor Freight back and get all my money back from that one and then get this one, so it kind of works for me. But if you're going to go out and buy this thing in flat cash, I'd look at other options, probably. Not saying it's bad, it's just not worth spending that much when you could only spend, instead of spending you can spend $700 and get the non-inverter with the wheel kit and everything, and that'd be fantastic in an emergency situation.
It would do the same thing this one would do. It'll, I mean, by all means, if you've got some thoughts or ideas or suggestions or anything you want me to test, cool. I'll do it. I'll throw whatever load you want me to on this generator or whatever variation. I would love to hear thoughts and opinions on this and whatnot, but if you already have the non-inverter 9,000 watt, I'd just stick with it. You'll be all right. Unless you just absolutely need a slightly less loud generator and a slightly more efficient generator, and you're willing to shell out $1,000 for it. That's just my thoughts on it. All right, well, thank you very much for your time. I appreciate it. And if you want to see a part 5 where I put different loads and suggestions on there, or mess around with it, please by all means let me know.